This is the Sports Porch, Philadelphia, with your hosts, the Grand Schwabini, Rube, and me, your technical director. Come on, Philly, show us a little Eagles, Flyers, Phillies, and Sixers love. The Philadelphia Sports Porch starts now. And there we are.
There we are.
I'm so excited about this show that I forgot that we actually have to be on the screen to start the show. But welcome to the Sports Porch Philadelphia. If you're watching us live, you're watching all over the world on Facebook, YouTube, and X. And of course, we're going to drop this show into a podcast right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you get
your freaking podcast.
That's exactly right, Schwaber. And as another added bonus, if you just want to listen to the show, I'm going to drop this comment down here live in the comments. You can listen live on Radio PGH. That is our live stream radio station on the internet. We are live on Radio PGH right now. And as everybody already knows, well, I guess everybody's heard the news. The news is that, yes, your Philadelphia Eagles are now Super Bowl champions once again. How does that make you feel, Schwaber?
It makes me feel great.
Yes.
It makes me feel great.
Yeah.
That's so in the last 8 years, that's 2 Super Bowl championships, an appearance in another.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing a lot of things right.
Yep,
they're doing a lot of things right. And yeah, it's just a great feeling. I mean, you know, it wasn't easy.
No.
But it sure seemed easy.
Well, yeah, last night it seemed really easy. Yeah.
Which was, I mean, look, it was shocking. I mean, I know you said that you weren't shocked.
Not at all.
But still, I mean, you know, Pat Mahomes, look, when it's all said and done, look, he had probably the worst game of his career last night.
21 of 32 for 257 yards. He did throw for 3 touchdowns. They were late, but he had 2 picks and a fumble.
Yeah, and I mean, basically,
it was the worst game of his life.
Yeah, I mean, those were garbage touchdowns.
They were.
In fact, he had a quarterback rating of 1 at halftime.
Well, at least it was above 0.
Right. Yeah, it was something like, I think at halftime they had 26 yards.
Yeah, it was horrible.
They were horrible. It was really bad.
Actually, you know, what we're going to do here, page 1, we're going to talk about the game. Page 2, we're going to talk about Jalen Hurts being named the Super Bowl MVP. Then we have 3 game balls to hand out for people other than Jalen Hurts. We're going to talk about the defense on page 4, and then page 5 is a mashup. But I'm not sure that I like the defense being, you know, buried all the way back on page 4.
You know, I actually thought about that too.
I feel like the defense should be on page 2.
No, you're probably right.
Yeah,
you're probably right. You can switch it up.
I will. We're just going to call it page 4, but we'll do page 4 first. So,
yes,
obviously the Eagles won the Super Bowl last night, 40-22. The score, as you know, as wild as it was, and as big a victory at 18 points as it was really more like a 34-point victory.
Right. I mean,
I feel like one touchdown that they scored was kind of like they earned it.
Right. It was like, I mean, I think the bottom line is, I think with 3 minutes left in the third quarter, it was 34-0.
Right. Insane.
You know, so and it was, to me, that's what was shocking. I mean, you know, like, for example, well, not only, look, Pat Mahomes had a horrible game, but his offensive line stunk.
They had a horrible game.
Yeah. They were horrible. Yeah. I mean, and look, the Eagles' defensive line is great.
Yeah.
But my God, they were horrible.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's look at a defensive highlight right here. Probably For me, anyway, it was the highlight of the game.
3rd and 16. Mahomes rolling out. Looking, firing, intercepted. Picked up by Cooper DeJean. Gets a block. DeJean is in. Touchdown.
Back and reads Patrick Ice. You could see the break. And this young stud, Cooper DeJean, another rookie making a huge impact.
I mean, young stud, as Tom Brady likes to say. I feel like he has a great deal of affection.
Seems like it.
For Cooper DeJean. But that right there is the reason that, after the game, I mean, Hurts played a great game.
Right. Sure.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I felt like I was like, can you give an entire
defense, right,
the MVP?
Right.
Because they put up 6 of those points themselves. And really, until, like you said, 3 or 4 minutes left in the third quarter, Philly wouldn't have had to score anyway.
Right.
And just the way they played and the way they contained Patrick Mahomes. And once you were able to do that, the game plan by Vic Fangio was just genius.
Yeah, it was an amazing game plan.
I think what he looked at was when you blitz Patrick Mahomes and get pressure on him, that's when he gets out of the pocket and he improvises. And that's where his guys know him the best. Kelsey knows where to go. His receivers know where to go. And he literally made a conscious decision not to blitz at all until late in the game. And the discipline that defensive line had to show to stay in their lanes and get that pressure on, they were able to force him into mistakes constantly, and they capitalized on it. So for me, the MVP of that game was the entire Philadelphia defense. And then Jalen Hurts, because Kansas City did exactly what we all thought they should do, which is they stopped Saquon Barkley, 57 yards rushing. I mean, if you were to tell me before that game that the Chiefs were going to hold him for sure to under 60 yards rushing, I would have said it's going to be a very close game. And they might win. But that's not what happened. So I'm super impressed with the way Philadelphia came to play, especially on defense.
Yeah, I mean the Cooper DeJean pick 6, that's when I started feeling like this might be our night. This might be our night. Because I mean, usually when you get a pick 6 in a game like this, it's like a killer to the other team.
Yeah, it was just, it was a little early.
It was still a little early.
So we couldn't call it.
Right. But I think to me, when it was over, there were two times where I thought it was over. The first time was coming out of the second half. I figured that they would have made some adjustments, and I expected the Chiefs to go down and score their first possession of the second half. And they didn't. That was huge. And then the second time I thought we had it won was the bomb to Devontae Smith.
Yes. Well, I honestly,
that was like the nail in the coffin.
Yeah. I mean, there was a part of me, of course, while you're watching this game, everybody remembers the Falcons Patriots game. And you may everybody draws comparisons in just as how good they are between Mahomes and Brady and how they can come back. And so as Eagles fans, that was in the back of your mind.
Sure. Oh, yeah. We're all thinking it like, oh, my God, is this going to be the greatest comeback of all time? Better than Tom Brady?
Yeah. Now is Patrick Mahomes going to do it?
Right.
There was something about the way the Eagles were playing that game where I knew that was not going to happen. I was watching that game. You could see Patrick Mahomes and how it was affecting him. He's other than playing at Texas Tech in high school and whatever, he has never experienced getting his ass whooped the way he experienced it last night. That's never happened to him in his days in the NFL. And I don't think he knew what to do with it. Now, Andy Reid's been there, but at the same time, he's not on the field playing. I saw one of the things that Steve and I were talking about at halftime is, okay, Andy Reid is the master of making adjustments. He scripted his first 15 plays. They pretty much all went horribly. What's he going to do at halftime to adjust? And I think I remember saying that Steve can confirm it. I know he's watching. I think I remember saying the problem is watching the defense and the way they're playing, I'm not sure you can find adjustments right now.
Right.
Because Mahomes is running for his life. They don't have a running game anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Their whole running game is predicated on Mahomes, and he can't find a place to go, nor can he find he's off balance every time he steps out of the pocket.
Right.
And every time he steps out of the pocket, because there's an Eagles defender who's keeping his lane and maintaining his discipline, there's somebody in his face. So I don't know what kind of adjustments you can make. I was not worried.
Well, here's the thing too. I mean, and I'm going to throw a little shade at Andy Reid.
Okay. Steve says it is true. I did say
what we saw last night was we saw Eagles Andy Reid. Do you remember the thing about Andy Reid was when he was coaching the Eagles was he never runs the ball.
Yes, I do.
And the bottom line is they had 3 running plays in the first half.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, like and especially your quarterback's running for his life. You got to throw some run plays in there.
Yeah, you got to slow down the pass rush.
To.
Yeah.
And look, it's not like their guys are horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco, they're decent players.
Right.
Right.
Why don't we bring in Rube? We forgot to mention that Rube is in somewhere in a snowy area, and he was unable to join us. But, there he is.
There
Rube.
he is.
What's up, Rube?
Can you hear us, Rube?
I think we got a little problem there.
Well,
yeah.
We'll get back to Rube when he figures himself out.
Yeah, look at him laughing. Hey, Rube. Where were we going with this? Well, here's the thing about Andy Reid and what you were talking about, where he became Philadelphia Andy Reid.
Yep.
Do you remember the game? I think it was in Buffalo. It was New England against Buffalo, and the wind chill was like 10 below. It was just in the last couple of years. Bill Belichick was still coaching. And the entire game, they ran like 3. They threw the ball 3 times.
Right.
And they won.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was a Belichick special with Tom Brady, all these dinks and dunks.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. It wasn't Tom Brady. It was what's his name? The quarterback they drafted after Brady.
Bledsoe?
Josh.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, so this is more recent.
Yeah, like 4 years ago.
Okay. I know you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who was the quarterback they brought in?
Who knows? Who cares?
Then he ended up with. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But you remember the game.
Yeah.
The Bills didn't know what to do with that. He was running. They were running the ball every single time. They didn't throw a pass until like the last 3 minutes of the second quarter. And then I think they didn't throw another pass all game. I honestly think that Andy Reid did not expect the Eagles defense to not blitz at all. And I don't think he had an answer for how do we slow down a pass rush that isn't a blitz. I think they expected the Eagles with the speed on that defense to blitz Mahomes all the time.
Right.
And Fangio is known for that. So when that didn't happen, it's like, what do we adjust to in the second half? They're not blitzing. They're just bull rushing us. They're just getting by our guys.
Right.
It was genius. I thought it was genius.
Yeah. I mean, the defense was incredible because, if you can count on the front 4 to beat their guys on almost every play.
Yep.
And then what they were doing was they were taking a, kind of like a mush rush kind of, angle towards the quarterback to where Pat Mahomes couldn't get away outside. He could really only move up in the pocket. And then what they would do is once he started doing that, then they just collapse into the middle of the pocket.
Yep.
And it's like he was running into sacks.
That's exactly right.
Exactly
right. Elaine says, fly, Eagles, fly. Go Birds, gang. Thanks to the whole team. Jeff says the whole D-line gets a game ball based on keeping Mahomes in the pocket to put pressure on him. And Steve says, amazing that the city didn't burn down either, just a small pile of laundry.
Yes.
I don't know that it's amazing, but it's thankful. We can be thankful for that. Let's see if we can bring Rube back.
Let's see if we can bring him in.
Are you here now,
Rube?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah,
we can hear you now.
Yes.
How you feeling, buddy?
Sorry about that, fans.
Yeah. They're all so sorry that you didn't show up at first, Rube, but we're just glad you're here. Now you are living in Texas, but currently you're somewhere where it's very chilly and snowy, right?
I am in right outside of Vail in Beaver Creek, Colorado, enjoying the annual ski trip.
There you go.
Very nice. Very nice.
Have you been out on the slopes today? How's the powder?
Well, it's not the best, but it wasn't icy either, and I was able to keep myself upright, which was the goal and the plan, and I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay.
Good. So, thoughts on the game, Rube? How probable was it that we were going to blow the Chiefs out?
Well, I think that was quite improbable. But as I sat here last night and watching it, I thought to myself, of the three of us, the technical director, I got to give him props. He said, there might be a blowout. And so I give the technical director heavy props.
Thank you very much.
That was the kind of performance I've been waiting for 54 years. Honest to God. It's besides the Sixers winning in 83 when no one could touch them, full 5-0, whatever it was from Moses, that was the most relaxing, joyous, on cloud nine, soaking every moment of domination win, that if I only see that once in my life, I'm fine with that. So,
you know what, Rube? I give you a lot of credit, because even though it should have been exactly what you said, I was still nervous through the whole thing. I didn't really. I just said to our crew here, I didn't really feel comfortable until the Devontae Smith touchdown.
And speaking of the Devontae Smith touchdown, I think we've got a high
area, and Maddox comes in and makes a huge play. Now the Eagles get it back. We're going to run some clock, or maybe throw the dagger. Hurts going deep for it all. Devontae Smith, he has got it. Touchdown. Wow.
And all Tom Brady has to say is, wow. That was the moment right there where I knew the game was over. I think I texted you and said,
game over.
I think I did.
You might have.
Yeah, that was about 3 minutes or so left in the third quarter. But I knew the game was over at halftime. I don't know if you were watching before you hopped on, Rube, but what I was saying is, Mark had the defense on page 4, and I said no. The defense. We both agreed the defense really is who won this game. I mean, Hurts getting the MVP is great. He played a fantastic game, almost pretty much error free, except for that one interception. Pass, right. And he lived up to exactly what he was supposed to do while Kansas City shut down Saquon. But if you could give the MVP to an entire unit, that entire unit played out of their minds. I mean,
I 100% agree. I actually said it. So I'm skiing with a bunch of buddies, none of which are Eagles fans, a couple of which are Cowboy fans. So it made it that much sweeter.
So but when
we were talking, I said exactly that. I if I had to give an MVP, I would give it to the whole defense, because they were just dominant. They're absolutely dominant. So fun to watch. It was so fun to watch Mahomes. We kept him in this zone, in this pocket where he couldn't get away, and every time he was just barely able to get away, we got him by the legs. It was amazing. But I'll be honest with you guys, I was nervous at halftime. I was still nervous, even up 24, 27.
So you were thinking oh my God, is this going to be the bigger comeback than Brady? Right.
Yeah. And when he threw the pass to Devontae that we just looked at, I'm like, oh no, why didn't we just run the ball? Why aren't we taking time off the clock?
Yeah. But I think the whole defensive game plan was just genius. Andy Reid had nowhere to turn, and he had no answer for blitz packages that didn't exist. And Andy Reid he's an X's and O's guy. So, he scripts the first 15 plays and then he bases the rest of the game off of that. And then you make halftime adjustments, assuming that you're either going to be up by a little or maybe down by a little. And when you have a defense that they weren't blitzing, but it looked like they were blitzing every single time.
Right.
But they have 4 down linemen rushing every time getting to the quarterback. What kind of adjustments do you make?
Right.
Who are you going to give help to? You have no blitz. You have no, they're given no signal, pre-snap as to what kind of defense they're bringing at you. It's almost as if every time Kansas City lined up to snap the ball, the Eagles defense looked exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they had the same lineup, and Mahomes is going, this again? What do I do? They made him look pedestrian.
They did. Yeah. And one thing I said, Rube, because I like to throw a little shade at Andy Reid. we got Eagles Andy Reid yesterday. No runs. 3 runs in the first half. Your quarterback's in trouble, and you don't even try to run the ball.
Yeah. Well, it's because they have no running backs.
No, they do.
Not really.
Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco are serviceable.
Kareem Hunt came out of retirement to play for the Chiefs.
They're not that bad.
Yeah. Well,
I enjoyed when Spagnuolo was red in the face.
Yeah.
Did you see that on the sideline?
He was as red as his Chiefs jacket. Yeah, exactly.
They had just had no answers. We all thought that the coaching advantage was clearly on the Chiefs side. And I think across the board, we were brilliant. And by the way, shout out to Jake Elliott, looked great.
Yeah, everything down the middle. Yeah. What happened?
Everything down the middle.
He found his stroke.
He found his stroke at the perfect time. And what was unbelievable is every time we'd make one, we'd have an offensive, our offensive line move.
Back it up 5 and try again, pal.
By the way, just a little note on that. I was catching Twitter a little bit before. It was like 5 hours before the game, and Jake Elliott was on the field 5 hours before the game kicking field goals. Yeah. So you got to admire the work ethic there.
Yeah.
He was making sure it wasn't going to come down to him, or if it did, he was ready.
Yeah. Or he knew exactly what was going to happen to him when he got off the plane in Philly if he missed the game.
Right.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, though, that first pass interference call that they called on AJ Brown, I was like, oh my God, here we go. Here come the refs. Here we go.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But you know what? When you put up a 40 burger, the refs don't matter.
Yeah, that is exactly.
Well, you know what? The call on Dallas Goedert, which was kind of iffy, where they hit him in the head and it was over his head. Yeah. It was 100% a makeup call.
Oh,
and from that point forward, everything was going our way.
Yep.
All right, let's move to page 2 here. Let's talk about Jalen Hurts. He was named the Super Bowl MVP. That being said, let's watch this touchdown that he throws to.
He's done his best to hang in there, but again, not his natural position in the pros.
Hurts lets it go, complete. AJ Brown, he's in. Touchdown, Eagles.
Absolutely no pressure by the Chiefs defensive line. AJ Brown coming across the field.
There you go. And that's what they paid Jalen Hurts to do. Find the receiver, find the open guy, give him the ball, put the ball in the right spot, and let him run it in. And that's exactly what he did. I think Jalen Hurts proved to all of Philadelphia that he is not a pretender. And, last year when they had that collapse, I was the guy who was defending Sirianni and Hurts. And I was the guy who was saying, look, you can't throw these guys out right now. Everybody goes through this. There's a little bit of division in the locker room. They need one more piece. But Hurts, he is a good quarterback. Now he's in the conversation as one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. And right now, I would say he's probably, there are a lot of people, I heard this on the radio today. There are a lot of people saying, well, Mahomes is still number 1. Well, you can't be number 1 if you don't win the Super Bowl, in my opinion, for present time.
Well, he's won 3.
Well, of course.
but yeah, no, you're right. I mean, look, I concede that Mahomes is number 1 based on what he's done. But where I put my foot down is, don't give me this Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow are better than Hurts when they can't beat Mahomes. And, you know, Hurts has now outplayed Mahomes in 2 Super Bowls. You know,
this is true. Yeah,
and
500 yards.
Yeah,
passing.
so you know,
Right.
and look, I get it. You know, by traditional passing metrics, he doesn't measure up to those guys. But you know, I think that the thing that Jalen Hurts has said is just because we don't do it doesn't mean we can't do it. And that's what it really comes down to. I mean, we're just a smart football team. You know, we got a great offensive line. We got the best running back in football, and we probably have, you know, maybe minus Lamar Jackson, they have the best scrambling quarterback in football. And you know, the bottom line is that look, the few times that teams decide we are going to stop Saquon Barkley and they do it, you know, we just beat you with, you know, Smitty and AJ Brown and Dallas Goedert and, you know, some swing passes to Barkley. We can do it any way we want to do it, you know, and that's that hurts his game. That's his game.
You know where he was brilliant last night. He snuck up in the pocket when the blitz was on, and he kept running for first downs. Yeah. So there was none of this back up and try to run this way. It was step up into it, and he did that 2 or 3 times. Just he read the blitz. He used his legs. He kept himself safe. He played. That was the best I've ever seen him play. I think he was totally in control.
He was the Eagles' leading rusher, 11 rushes for 72 yards with a 6.5 yard average and a touchdown.
That's actually a quarterback record for rushing yards, breaking his own record.
Yep. So you know? I don't think, and that's the thing. You can't. I did not see a team other than his interception, which honestly,
Cam Jurgens was beat on, and the guy, he had to rush it, and it was just it was a bad throw.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, it's so inconsequential. I mean, once again, they won the turnover battle.
Right.
How many times have we talked about that?
Right.
But it's so inconsequential that if we didn't talk about it, I would forget about it. It didn't even matter.
It was actually a great punt.
It was. That's
what I thought about. I thought about that.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't any worse than a punt. You're exactly right. So as far as Jalen Hurts goes, I think that he's probably I think the guy felt like he had a monkey on his back already, and he's only 4 years in. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, this wasn't a Steve Young take the monkey off my back moment. This was I came to play the first time around and we couldn't get it done. The defense showed up this time around and we got it done. And he did everything right. Even Barkley, for as ineffective as he was, I mean, 57 yards on 25 carries. They did not shy away from running the ball to him.
Well, you know, they stuck with the run.
Right.
And that keeps your quarterback upright.
That's right.
And then the other thing is he also caught like 6 passes for 40 yards.
He did. He caught 6 passes for 40 yards.
So in total, he accomplished 97 yards in the game.
No, 76. 97 yards.
Right.
I struggled.
I don't think he was inconsequential, right? I think they had the plan so hard to stop him that just the mere threat of him breaking a play, you know, and the fact that we stuck with it, let other players get open. So just what a beautiful game, man. It
no more Negadelphia from Rue.
See, and that is my kind of game. I love the blowout.
Yeah.
I have no interest in a close game unless it's 2 teams I don't care about.
You know what? I don't think there are very many football fans that don't love the blowout for their team.
Right.
I mean, I love the blowout too.
Right.
Steelers fans would love to see blowouts every week.
Yeah.
You know, Kansas City fans this year, I don't feel sorry for them, but think about what they suffered through. It was kind of like every game is a nail biter. We think we have the greatest quarterback of all time. We make the Super Bowl and then we get the ever loving shit kicked out of us.
Yeah. And remember, one of the things I did say last week was I said, something's kind of telling me like, you know, this Kansas City, like it's coming. Like you just can't win game after game on the last possession. Like something's got to give.
Right.
And it did.
It did. 100%.
Let's take a look at that defensive play.
Yeah, Steve said the OC kept Saquon in the game with those swing passes. That's exactly right. He did, and that's the thing. Like we said, I think last week one of the things we talked about, Schwab, and then we'll get to this. We'll get to this last highlight. Is you said what happens if they run the first 3 plays with Saquon and he gets nowhere? What do? And we said they keep doing it no matter what, because that's what Kansas City is focusing on. And they did 25 rushes. They did not stop going to him because at any minute he could break one.
Right.
And so his contribution. What'd you say, Brian?
Yeah, they converted third downs,
And they converted third downs. That's exactly right. So let's go to this big defensive play right here.
We'll never buy another cheesesteak again, I promise you that. So here's Mahomes. What's he got left? Pressure again. Jacked! Ball is out! And the Eagles have it! Milton Williams with a strip sack.
And you get a little bit desperate with only 9 minutes and 45 seconds left on the clock. And
yep, there it is. As soon as that happened, were you okay then, Mark?
I was feeling good.
You felt like they were going to win?
Now the interesting thing on that play is, 100% it was a personal foul on Jalen Carter as he hit him with both hands in the helmet.
I saw that, yeah.
But that play to me was like the most fitting play of the game where, they didn't call it and we just jacked Mahomes up.
Yep.
We just jacked him up.
Yep.
And it was fun.
So that comment you made, the comments we were making last week, like what if it actually goes in the other direction? That's what they're singing in Kansas City right now. There was so much shit thrown around about Kansas City getting all the calls and the refs and all the memes with Patrick Mahomes waking up in the morning in his hotel with referees in his bed with him and stuff like that.
Well, the thing though is for them, I mean, when you get destroyed like you did, it's like you can't complain about refs when you get destroyed.
There's nothing to say. They just got to lick their wounds and move on.
They do, because a roughing the passer call at that point in the game is not
nothing.
Maybe they get it. Maybe they lose 30, 40 to 29.
Right.
So
we did get a penalty on that play because didn't one of our guys dunk it on the goalpost?
Yes. Williams dunked it. Yeah. So they actually thought that flag was called on Jalen Carter.
Right.
And the broadcast, they were talking about it, and I thought, oh boy, here we go.
No, I knew that Milton Williams was going to get fined for that because that's like one that if you do that, you get fined.
That's kind of stupid.
Well, it is weird. Why is it that you can dance, but the dunk over the goalpost is a problem?
Yeah,
I don't know. Who knows?
Who
knows?
What's dangerous about that? Or what's, whatever.
Yeah.
They see it as taunting because you're dunking it over the goal.
Well, I think it's time for some game balls.
Absolutely.
And Rube, there's a lot to go around. So what we decided with page 3 here is it's other than Jalen Hurts. So you can't choose Jalen Hurts, and you get 3 different folks to give a game ball to. We'll go around with one each at a time. You want to start us off, TD?
Okay. My first game ball goes to Cooper DeJean.
For the
pick 6.
That was fun.
That was his first NFL interception.
Yeah.
It was also his birthday.
Yep.
How does he not get the first game ball?
Okay.
All right.
I love it.
Rube.
It's a good one. Jake Elliott, money.
There you go. Most important player on the Philadelphia Eagles.
I got to give it. How can you not give a game ball to Vic Fangio?
Yeah, right.
I mean, Vic Fangio, also he's a guy that the only thing missing from his resume was a Super Bowl win.
Yep.
And he basically came out against, Mahomes and Andy Reid, and they had no idea what hit them.
Yeah, he destroyed it.
And they never recovered.
Yeah, excellent.
Keep in mind, too, this is a team that ended last year ranked 30th.
Yes.
I mean, 30th to number 1.
And started the year kind of slow on defense as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So it's not like they came out of the gate.
Right.
They had some catching up to do.
Right.
Unbelievable. Go ahead, Rube.
Did you know, and I think this to be true, but I haven't checked the facts. This is the first time a team has won the Super Bowl with two new coordinators.
I didn't know that.
I don't know. I didn't check that either, but that would not surprise me.
There's a lot of stuff like that. I saw one today. The Eagles are in the Super Bowl era are the team that has scored the most points combining the championship game with the Super Bowl. It was 92 total points. And then it was like San Francisco had like 87 and they had an 82 in there.
Yeah. It was 95, 55, and 40.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. I thought you
right.
said earlier you were good at math and I was bad.
Well, hey, every dog has their day.
Yeah. You know, and I am a dog.
All right. So game ball number 2. Who are you going to give it to?
Game ball number 2 for me goes to Josh Sweat with 2.5 sacks.
Oh, yeah. And 6 tackles.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was on my list. He was on my list at the beginning of the year.
It was Josh. He was on your list.
He was.
Yep. Number 10, right?
He was. I don't know if he was 10, but he was in there.
He was on the list.
All right, Rube. Game ball number 2 for you.
I think Zach Bond's interception was great. I think he played a hell of a game. I think he steadies our defense. Zach Bond, and I hope like heck we re-sign that guy.
Yes, Zach Bond. Okay, so I'll go game ball number 3.
No, your game ball number 2.
Number 2.
Yeah, there you go.
My math's getting off. I'm just too excited. I'm too excited.
Yep.
Okay, well, you guys are taking some of these defensive guys, but you know what? You haven't taken him yet. I'm going to give one to Milton Williams.
Yeah, there you go.
Give one to Milt.
Yep, that strip sack.
That strip sack, and he had another sack in the game, so he had 2 sacks, and he was just, look, not many people are talking about Jalen Carter, but I heard some guys like Baldinger talking about Jalen Carter. And I really didn't pay attention, but apparently they were like double and triple teaming Jalen Carter. And that basically meant like, hey, the other 3 guys, you got to eat. And they did.
Yeah.
They did. They won their one-on-ones.
Yeah.
Big time. So, and Milton Williams was a big part of that.
Yep. My third game ball goes to Howie Roseman.
Ooh.
For putting that team together.
Howie season.
Yeah. I mean, last year or at the beginning of this year when we made our NFL predictions, both on this show and our other show, my Super Bowl pick was Philadelphia. And the reason it was Philadelphia was basically not only did I believe in the team, but it was because they signed Saquon Barkley. And that's what I talked about. I didn't talk about Zach Bond at all because even though we talked about them signing him, it was kind of like, oh, they signed this guy from New Orleans off the special teams guy. We'll see how he fits in, but he seems to have skills and he's quick and he's good. But who knows?
Right.
So you go throughout the whole year and you just look at the drafting of that line the last few years, the signing of Zach Bond, the drafting of those 2 cornerbacks. Not to mention how you keep that offensive line together. You turn Becton into a great lineman. Mailata becomes probably one of the top ranked linemen in the league. Signing Saquon. I mean, there's a reason that team had the chemistry it had, let alone bringing in those 2 coordinators, convincing Sirianni to let his guys do their thing. I mean, that's a GM's job. And he did that. And for that reason and that reason alone, putting the pieces in place and the right tools together, that's why Philadelphia was able to have the season it had. So my third game ball goes to Howie Roseman.
Okay. Really?
Yeah. I wonder how many starters. We had at least 4 starters that weren't here last year in the Super Bowl. 2 of them were rookies, right? And Becton was signed. That's 5. Becton, Bond, Barkley, the Bees, the Killer Bees. I wonder how many more there were. So my last game ball, I kind of kiddingly wanted to say Jahan Dotson, but Dotson had his best game of the season.
He almost had a touchdown.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a shame.
He had his best game of the season. I think you got to give it to one of the receivers, and I'll say Devontae, because when push comes to shove and you need a catch and a tiptoe on the sideline or a big play, Devontae was there and he made everything that was thrown his way. So I'll give it to Devontae Smith.
All right. I'll give my last one to the other receiver. I'll give it to A.J. Brown. Even though AJ, what do you maybe have like 3 catches for 43 yards and a touchdown, something like that?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay. The bottom line is it felt like more. It felt like more. Like, that first catch that didn't count.
Right.
I think the thing about that, though, was that, Trent McDuffie is their best cornerback. And basically that was, A.J. Brown basically saying like, hey, your best cornerback can't cover us. So that was like, I felt like that was a statement, even though it didn't count. Then he had that nice back shoulder, which was sort of like, I can catch it over you and I can also catch it behind you. And then he, had the touchdown. And then another catch of his just extended a drive for a first down. So I thought he had for 3 catches, I felt like he had a bigger impact on the game than the stats might show.
Steve says he gives 3 game balls: offensive line, defensive line, and Cooper DeJean. Amy May thinks my Howie Roseman game ball was a great one.
Yes. By the way, Rube, have you heard about the Exciting Whites? You know
the podcast?
Yeah, the Exciting White. Yeah. So this is kind of funny. So now, and this is all in good fun. I think everybody, black people and white people, both know that there's not a lot of secondary players in the NFL that are white.
Right.
And the Eagles have Reed Blankenship and Cooper DeJean.
Yep.
And so C.J. Gardner-Johnson nicknamed those 2 guys the Exciting Whites.
Okay.
and now they're going to start a podcast, and it's funny, man. They have like a little dance they do together.
Yeah.
And they have shirts that say Exciting Whites on it.
Nice.
That's fun. It's fun.
We need to have them join the Sports Porch.
We do.
Yeah, that would be fun. Listen, everybody, thanks for watching. If you're watching us live, you can catch us every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern time, live on Facebook, YouTube, and X all over the world. And of course, we encourage you to right now go to YouTube at Philadelphia Sports Porch, become a subscriber. We're growing our subscribers now, and we're going to drop this as a podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. Okay, boys. I mean, we got page 5 now, the mashup. What else is left to talk about?
I don't know. I mean, it's like, do you even talk about anything other than the Super Bowl?
Maybe that right there.
Oh,
maybe.
I see. You got Brian Dawkins on the slopes.
Oh, there is something we should talk about along with Brian Dawkins on the slopes. Eric Allen is now a member of the Hall of Fame.
Eric Allen.
Yep.
That makes me happy. Yeah. Eric Allen is definitely deserving. He's one of those guys. He's one of those guys that, like, the unfortunate thing is what happens is when you don't win a Super Bowl, it becomes so much harder to get into the Hall of Fame. Like there are guys in the Hall of Fame that have like 20 less interceptions than Eric Allen. Like there's guys in the Hall of Fame who like had 1 pick 6 in their career, and Eric Allen's got like 8, but if they're on a Super Bowl winner, they make the Hall of Fame. So I'm just thrilled that he's in there, because for me growing up, look, I could certainly say maybe Darryl Green was one of the best cornerbacks ever, but as far as being an Eagles fan, I think that Eric Allen was probably the best corner we've had. I would say he was probably better than Troy Vincent, in my opinion. What do you think, Rube?
Yeah, I mean, he was a shutdown corner before we called them shutdown corners. So, it was cool because I don't know if we talked about this last week or I was talking about it with somebody else, or I heard it on the radio. But before the last Super Bowl, Dawkins got into the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And we won. And before this one, Eric Allen got in and we won. So we got to go figure out what other defensive backs we need to get into the Hall of Fame.
Andre Waters.
No, I got another little thing for you. I had a suspicion that things might be going our way in this game. Now, what I do, and it's basically more to calm my nerves. Every time that the Eagles are in a Super Bowl, what I do the day of the game is I go to the movies before the game. Because if I go to a movie, I can completely escape and not think about football, not worry about the game and all that kind of stuff. So the first time the Eagles win, I go to a movie, and what theater is my movie in? Number 9. Nick Foles.
Okay. Nick Foles.
So when I went to the movies yesterday, and look, it's just random, right? I'm in theater 11, AJ Brown. And I just thought, it's looking good. Now, the year that they lost the Super Bowl, I didn't get anybody's number.
I don't know, man. I love you, Robert. I think at 54 years old.
Before we go to another Super Bowl, the next time we go, God willing, just watch any movie that's got a good, pick the theater, not the movie.
Right, you're right. Now, Rube, we have to give you some credit as well. You coming on board to the Sports Porch Philadelphia,
right at the right time,
has resulted in a Super Bowl victory. Basically, if you're on the Sports Porch, all we do is win Super Bowls.
So far.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like the Chris Carter of podcast.
All you do is catch touchdowns. Yeah. So I know it's early.
Yes.
I know it's early. Can this team repeat? Don't take into account any of the free agent signings or yet to be. Can this team repeat?
It's a tougher schedule next year. I'm
gonna say no.
It's hard.
And I'm sorry to be negative, okay? But the reason why I'm gonna say no is number one, I just don't think that you're gonna get the same out of Saquon Barkley next year.
Right.
2,000 yards, and also kudos to him for having the most rushing yards ever, regular season and playoffs combined, topping Terrell Davis. He ran for 2,500 yards.
Yep.
That's a lot of wear on the body. And I'll tell you what, the guy seems like he's got, he hasn't been gassed at all.
No.
Which is unbelievable.
Right.
And you're hoping that, he's only 28. So you're hoping that he's still young enough that he has some good years left in him. But I would say it wouldn't shock me, if he maybe only goes for 1,400 next year.
Yeah.
So that's something. The other thing too is we do have some really good players. Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, Zach Bond are free agents. I think if we can bring back Bond and one of Williams and Sweat, we're okay. But, if we lose 2 of those 3, that to me, that's a problem. They say we'll probably lose Mekhi Becton because, he earned a lot of money this year, becoming a really good starting guard. So there's changes every year. And it's really hard to get back there. Now, do they have a chance? Absolutely, they have a chance, right? They got a great roster.
Yeah.
But look, repeating is not easy. And, Nick Sirianni is going to have a whole new, situation to deal with. Okay, the guys played all the way to the Super Bowl. Is he going to go light on them? Part of why they won this year is he went hard on them all year. I don't think after you win the Super Bowl, you can come back and be hard on them from the very beginning because you're going to wear them out. Maybe you can. I don't know.
You can. I think that's why Kansas City won 2 in a row and went back to a third for the first time.
Maybe.
I think the bigger issue here is Kellen Moore.
Yeah, Kellen Moore is gone.
He's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're starting over.
Another offensive coordinator.
Well, you got to obviously Hurts has shown that he can live through, change in that meeting room. So can you find somebody who can jive with him? That's really what it is. Can he learn another playbook? Hell yeah. He's smart enough to do that. But do you find somebody who can be on the same page with and can have a relationship with him? That to me is big. And then it would be, once again, you would have to repeat with a new coordinator, which we already discussed. It's possible that this is the first time you have 2 new coordinators and they win. Well, now you have another coordinator.
Right.
What do you think, Rube? Do you think they can repeat? At this early, I mean, it's early to talk about this.
Sure.
Like, I totally get it.
Yeah.
You might as well.
I listen, I don't, I was thinking about the arguments you guys were making, and with Saquon, I don't think we need him to run for 2,500 yards. I think we kind of proved that in the Super Bowl that we can win with him rushing for 100 yards, and we can win without him rushing for 100 yards. So I'm more nervous about the new offensive coordinator with the Kellen Moore factor. Yeah. So that being said, I'm going to say no, just because it's really hard to do. And so I say no. And I didn't realize either that besides Bond, that we had 2 defensive linemen that were going to be like, it's just going to be Javon Hargrove all over again, where, we lose a big piece of our defense. So I'll say no, but I'll be optimistic and figure that, trust in Howie will be able to replace those guys if we lose.
It's nice when you have a Super Bowl win, from this year, and you can just completely enjoy the off season. Like, oh, who are they going to draft? Oh, great. Oh, it's probably a good choice. All the other draft picks have been good.
Let me ask you guys this. Let me ask you this. We were talking about Hall of Famers earlier, and you kind of have to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
Is Jalen Hurts on the way? If he continues at current, if he never wins another Super Bowl.
Let me answer that question by saying this. I fully believe that Eli Manning should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer.
No, he shouldn't have been.
When he retired, he was in the top 10 in passing yards all time. He was a 2-time Super Bowl MVP. He did not have the flashy seasons that people had, but he has the stats to back it up.
I think he has more interceptions than touchdowns.
Okay, but hold on. What I'm saying is, I'm answering your question about, or Rube's question about this. So that being said, is Jalen Hurts on his way to being a Hall of Famer? My answer to that is yes, as long as he wins another Super Bowl. Because he doesn't put up the numbers. Now, he does put up the rushing touchdown numbers, but people are always going to say this.
Well, you didn't pass for all the yards.
No, what they're going to say is, how many of those touchdowns were tush pushes?
Right.
Was that really skill?
Right.
Or was that 5,000 pounds of force?
Right.
So you have to discount those numbers of touchdowns, which, by the way, Saquon Barkley finished the year with 1 more touchdown than Jalen Hurts rushing, I believe, Rube. Yeah. So I was right. You were
right. Okay. Was that including the playoffs, or was that just the regular season?
I think that was the regular season.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. We're gonna have to check that technically.
We'll investigate it.
Sure,
we'll investigate it.
I heard it on one of the.
We're not taking your word. We're investigating.
Yeah, please, not taking your word for that.
Don't take my word for it. So, anyway,
well, he's got a chance.
I think he's definitely got a chance. Yeah. I think that it would be interesting to go back and maybe during the dead zone, like we like to call it, when football's not around, maybe we can do a couple research shows and go back and see how many Super Bowl winning quarterbacks are in the Hall of Fame, like Bart Starr, who was Bart Starr, Terry Bradshaw, Roger Staubach, going back.
I will tell you this, though, with that theme of you win a Super Bowl, it gets you into the Hall. I do think one player on the Eagles got into the Hall of Fame last night. Who do you think it is?
Saquon Barkley? I don't know.
No, I wouldn't say him. I think he needs to do more, probably.
I don't think he does.
He probably doesn't. Yeah, he'll probably go in.
He's already there. Who? Slay?
Yeah, Slay. Slay's now in, no doubt about it. He's got a ton of interceptions. He's been a shutdown corner for like over 10 years. He's now got a Super Bowl.
Yeah, so he was great with Detroit. Yeah, when he played with Detroit, he was their best player.
Yeah, so I think he's now in.
Yeah. Let's get.
I would say the other thing you need to look at with like the Hurts argument is look at the winning percentage.
That's true. That's true. His winning percentage.
All he does is win.
Yeah, that's true. Well, let's see how you guys feel next year if they get off to a slow start. I don't want to hear any of this Negadelphia crap. I think Jalen Hurts is now definitely your quarterback for the present and the future. And I'm going to go out on a limb because you guys didn't let me finish this one up as we finish. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they repeat next year.
Ooh, okay.
Absolutely. Ooh. I think they repeat 100 million %. All right, guys, listen, this has been the Sports Porch Philadelphia. You can follow us on YouTube all over the world at Philadelphia Sports Porch, and also every Monday night live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. And of course, I'm going to drop this podcast right after the show. We would love for you to subscribe to that and leave us a review, or hop on over to YouTube and subscribe there so you can catch up with us. We're going to drop a lot of shorts. We have a new TikTok channel now, Philadelphia Sports Porch. We're going to be grabbing an Instagram one. We got the Sports Porch Philadelphia on Twitter. So you can find us anywhere. We're not going to hide from you.
All we do is win.
That's it. All we do is win. For Rube, the Grand Schwabini, I'm your technical director, and I am out.